Hi, my name's Raman.
Hi, Raman.
Hi, so you must be Michaela.
Yes.
Is it okay if I call you Michaela?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to be interviewing you today about for my occupational therapy assignment. I'm a student here at the university. So it's just going to be about your roles, your occupations, and your environments. So I'll go into detail with that and explain to you what exactly all of those are, just so you know. But before we start, I just have to get you to sign a consent form.
Sure.
This is just going to be saying that you'll be recorded, and at any point you want to stop the interview, you can. And no one will be seeing this besides me, my tutor, and one of my peers. Yeah, so that's the consent form. So you can just have a quick read and sign, print there, and then sign on the other page. Perfect, thank you. So I'll make a copy and give you this. Okay, so your roles, occupations, and environment. So I'll go through each one. So your role is going to be basically your social identity almost. So it's kind of a label, what you identify with. So it could be, someone could be a mother, they could be a wife, a friend, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll be the first thing. And then occupations are things that you do to support those roles. So things that you'll be doing that support, if you're a mother, then you would be taking care of your kids and feeding them and going to the grocery store. So it's just things that support that, your daily activities that support your role. And then environment is where these things take place. So they can be social, they can be cultural, institutional, that type of thing. And then overall, I just wanted to know how all these three things affect your health and your well-being.
Okay.
Okay, so to start off, the first question is, what kind of roles do you identify with mostly?
For me, definitely student. It takes up the most of my time, energy, mental thoughts, everything.
Yeah.
I guess so. Student, partner, spouse, family member in a broader sense as well. Friend, definitely. And that's kind of it for now.
That's the main thing? Okay. So we'll say you as a student.
Yeah.
So what kind of occupations do you partake in that support your role as a student?
Well, studying and attending class. So for me, making sure that I attend the classes that I need to in order to learn the materials and be familiar with the materials. Also making sure that I revise that in preparation for the following week or even ahead of that particular day's class as well.
Yeah.
And assignment work. So that comes in all sorts of different forms. So I guess the occupation might depend on exactly what the assignment work is too.
So to attend class, do you have, so when you're at school, is there stuff that you do to prepare before you come to school? So like, how do you get to school and that type of thing?
So I tend to take public transport most times. So for me, I will go to the train station and catch the train in, and then once change the bus and come here as well.
And do you find taking public transport easy for you, or are you used to another method? Or?
No, I'm used to public transport. It's something that I've kind of grown up with. So
yeah. And for studying, how much time are you spending studying?
Well, at the moment, I feel like it's kind of there's a lot of wasted time in the learning phase. So it doesn't feel like it's typically like productive time in the way that it is once you're kind of at the top of the learning curve. So for me, I'm returning to study after 7 years away from my last qualification. So the process of getting back into study is quite taxing and time consuming, but I mean it's been really enjoyable.
Yeah.
But you do have to be very patient while you learn and relearn how to do all those things.
Yeah. So it's been 7 years. Do you find that there's a huge change from when you were studying before versus now?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to? Is it environmental, or is it within yourself? You feel like you've changed? in your study?
Probably all of the above.
All of them.
Yeah. So I'm exploring a big career shift in coming into the occupational therapy, the master's program here. So previously I'd studied an undergraduate in business.
That's quite different.
Yeah, it is very different. So that shift is quite a big one in terms of just how I perceive myself and just more generally in terms of the actual work I undertake or study. But also the resources you use for study have changed. And before I was studying in a city-based campus, and this is a campus outside of the main city area, so that changes things too.
Yeah. So what do you do when you say the whole time is not being productive? Is there something else that you're doing with your time, or do you just get distracted by?
I guess it's just that process of relearning how to study, and even training your attention span to accommodate all the load that we have to, and even things like, because my undergraduate was in business, research methodologies are not something I'm familiar with. Even when it comes to producing an assignment and doing accurate referencing, that's a more time-consuming process than it used to be, but it's also a different referencing style to what I'm used to. So there's just a lot of adjustment, I think, and for as long as you're adjusting, you're just taking longer because you make those learning mistakes.
So do you feel like the environment now is kind of a barrier because you have all these new things that you're learning, or do you feel like it's facilitating you in a way?
It does both, and I think how I choose to perceive it affects how well I move through any given day as well. But there's good resources in terms of what the university provides, but I was also a very late enrolment to the program. So for me, the adjustment process was condensed into less than 2 weeks. So from enrolment, accepting the enrolment, to moving here all happened in less than 2 weeks. So for me, a lot of the pre-preparation I would have done has been condensed into semester period.
So you were saying you moved. Did you come from overseas? Or?
Yes, I did. So I was living in Singapore before this. So for the last 7-8 years, because I kind of basically finished study and then left Australia. But I lived overseas in Papua New Guinea and also in Singapore.
Okay. Yeah. So you were saying, so student is your main, and you're also a partner, or spouse.
Yes.
What kind of occupations do you engage in? Do you have frequent contact with your spouse? Are they here?
They're not here. So he'll be moving across in a few months, which is what we were planning to do if study did or didn't eventuate. So he's on a slightly different timeline to me, but it basically involves a lot of remote conversations. So WhatsApp and FaceTime chats, and just keeping in touch over the course of the day with lots of little messages and things like that between each other. Do you feel like going about your daily life is a little bit harder without your spouse here now, or do you feel like it's good? Or? It's a mix, really. I think the initial phase, when you're dealing with all the adjustments that come with relocating internationally, you really do want someone else to be there to help you. Things like even just buying a car, so that I've got that, because as much as I take public transport, I still feel like you need a car to get around. So a lot of big life tasks would have been nice to have had more of a shared load, but I also appreciate that there's life tasks that need to be done back in Singapore as well. So we're each taking on different roles there. But I think also it's nice to have a bit of space just to get my head into this new study mindset as well.
It could be overwhelming.
That's moments.
So what about, you said you're a family member. How does that play a role? Are you devoting a lot of time to your family? Or?
At the moment it's interesting because my immediate family live like 2 hours away from Sydney, so it's, with the study load and things like that, it's a little difficult to get to see them, and it's quite a complicated situation because my sister has literally just this week relocated to the UK on a working holiday. So we've managed to have a month of overlap, which has been great, but that's also happened over a very stressful and busy period
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, are you living alone or?
No, I'm living with my in-laws. So they live in it's not too bad a travel into university, and we've got a good rapport, so that's great.
Yeah.
So they're better proximity than my family, and it's good because it means that as much as I am quite independent, my partner's mother is visually impaired, so I'm also, while her husband is travelling and he's also travelling at the moment, I've been kind of helping with day-to-day tasks that she needs assistance with as well. So I know they're doing me a favour by allowing me to stay with them, but I'm also helping them in various different ways.
So would you say your role is also kind of a caretaker as well?
In a general sense, but she's very independent. So little things like needing to check that, you know, she's wearing the right colours that she wanted to wear, and that you know, certain things like items in the fridge are located where she can be, so that she can be independent and, you know, find the food that she wants, and occasionally going to the shops because she does have some mobility issues as well, and she's currently training in a new guide dog. So that's
another,
there's a lot of competing priorities at the moment.
Yeah. And so your last role that you identify with is as a friend.
Yes.
So how are you managing time with your really busy schedule to make time for a social life as well?
It's a limited time, but it's when I get it, it's quality. So I've been very careful to try and maintain relationships back with my contacts and friends in Singapore. So for me, that's anytime I'm in a car, I'm on FaceTime. Well, not FaceTime, but like I'm doing audio chat with somebody.
Yeah.
And then with my family, just trying to, you know, keep in touch with them over a lot of messaging type applications. And with friends here, I've been kind of careful about broadcasting how widely that I'm back. So it's kind of dealing with close friends first, and people know that I'm back, but people understand that I'm very busy, so I'm prioritizing that quite clearly.
Yeah, it sounds like you kind of feel like you have an obligation to almost see some of your friends.
In a sense, but partly because I've been away for so long. And although I have been back for visits a lot in between, I had envisaged my return home being a bit more social than it can otherwise be. So I think I'm just trying to manage that by, you know, letting people know I'm back, but also letting people know during the peak times during semester.
Yeah. So you moved from Singapore. How do you feel like, has the environment been completely different? I know culturally it's probably a lot different.
So I think the cultural context is an interesting one because just generally people are quite direct in Singapore, but also here in quite a different way as well. So I was doing a lot of volunteer work when I was in Singapore, and that gave me a really interesting insight into the cultural backgrounds, you know, views on disability and even people's level of involvement in their communities and that kind of thing. So that was a really interesting side of life to see there, because when I was in full-time employment in Singapore, you definitely didn't see those sides. You saw quite a superficial side of Singapore in terms of you didn't have a lot of social interactions with a lot of local Singaporeans typically, because there was a lot of, I guess, perception in the workplace that, you know, you had different values to them, and until, you know, one of you went out of your way to get to know the other, people just worked in terms of broad stereotypes a lot.
Oh, okay. So you were saying it was a superficial environment. Do you think being in that environment changed you as a person or made you see things differently?
I guess probably the environment wasn't superficial. I guess your take on it is superficial. Like it's just very much you're involved in your own sphere when you're in a working context, because people don't tend to form so many friendships through a lot of the work environments in Singapore because the hours are so long. So to compensate for that, I think you just kind of stay in your own social networks, and you don't end up blending into the culture as much as you would in other settings where there's greater work-life balance. So I definitely had lots of friendships and lots of really valuable friendships in Singapore, but I tended to find they were with other expatriates, so that they could be from literally anywhere. And it wasn't until I got into the volunteering work that I started forming much more meaningful relationships with Singaporeans.
Yeah.
Again, a different approach, I think.
Yeah. So do you feel like any of your roles have an impact on your health and well-being, or you have what's your definition? Do you feel like what gives you happiness?
I think balance does, but I think balance is a very difficult thing to achieve right now. So there's definitely like a tension between those elements at the moment. But it's also having a plan and seeing it through. That's one thing that gives me, I guess, peace of mind in a more mental sense. Physically, I need to stay active because if I don't, that doesn't augur well with me. But I'm managing to keep up some physical activity in addition to the study, and I'm really enjoying that. So I go on walks, and I just like getting outside and exposing myself to nature rather than a book.
So being outdoors is therapeutic for you. It kind of helps you. Yeah, it's almost like another role that you have is like being an active person, so that helps you get through the day.
And it helps release some of the energy. Do
you think that's the main thing you do to kind of de-stress, or do you have any other things that you do spiritually or?
Definitely. I mean, the friendship element of things plays into that stress relief there too, because sharing those kind of issues with friends is really important. But spiritually, I don't really observe any kind of religion or anything like that. But this is where probably for me the walks it's more getting out into nature and having some quiet, but also just really enforcing a change in the actual outside environment for myself, like clicking into different modes depending on where I am.
So it's probably different because you're inside for school, so you need that.
I think I've drawn that line in my mind.
Okay, so it was really interesting learning all about your roles, your environments, and occupations. I'd love to keep in touch and see where you're at. Thank you so much for doing the interview and letting me videotape it.
Oh,
it was great. Thank you.
Thank you.